Did it have sound?
Todd know where it's at?
No.
Huh?
It doesn't have sound. That's, mine has a whole video.
Yeah, tell him to look in the door with a,
Put it really hard.
Okay, so,
You're just gonna have to, or you can go next and he'll do it. Can you transfer it up? Hopefully.
yeah, we can do it that way.
I think Marcy's moved that one.
like 3 weeks ago.
I sent her your presentation.
Okay. Cause I did not have it done.
Hi, Lauren.
Okay, everyone ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, so, of course y'all know who I am, I'm Vanessa. So I am your food deli coordinator and food safety. My biggest thing is food safety because we deal with food. Especially one of the most dangerous foods, AKA chicken. So this I got off of the Florida website. They are big on the core four, cleaning, separating, cooking, or cook and chill. So cleaning, how often and how long should you wash your hands? Yes. Anytime that you touch anything than what you're actually touching already, like in that motion, you need to change your gloves, wash your hands. How many people today wash their hands before they eat the pizza? Is that crazy? We do it unintentionally. How many times have we went, ran register, came in, put a pair of gloves on, served food? Not subconsciously doing it. It's not malicious. Anything that on here, don't become paranoid with it because it is most of this is human nature that we do automatically. I just want you to be somewhat aware of it, especially in the masses that you work with. Because you have a multiple of people that come in. They're not all gonna be clean, pristine. You have, well, up north, we had a bunch of farmers. They're dirty by nature. They work with manure for God's sakes. So keep that in mind, is you have to know your clientele and how often you have to clean it. And not because they're bad people or they're dirty, it's just their job that they do. So, core four is clean. Always wash your hands for 20 seconds in the hottest water possible that you can stand. And that's after touching anything. Literally moving my glasses on top of my head, moving them from my nose, touching my apron. Wash your hands after that. That's how minute it is. Again, we do a lot of things not intentionally. So don't go in there like, oh my God, touch glasses, da da da. Just remind them, hey, before you run, after you're done running that register, and before you serve the food, can you wash your hands for me? You know, I always tell people, if you're not willing to lick your hands after a task that you've done, you probably should wash your hands. That's a rule of thumb. Cleaning all work surfaces. How many people have sanitizer buckets? How many people use sanitizer buckets?
Not to store dirty rags in, but what they're actually
Yeah,
for.
what they're actually put chemicals in. What is the ppm for sanitizer? Can anyone tell me?
It's every hour, you have to change it out?
No. Parts per million. What's the concentration on those buckets? Cause you have, oh, honey, smash those. You know those strip things?
Yeah.
They tell you automatically, you test them. It is 200 to 400 ppm, parts per million. It is the diluted factor so that it kills and doesn't contaminate something. Because if you overdo it, it's just as bad as you underdo it. Especially in your sanitizer water. It can't be too hot and it can't be too cold. If it's too cold, it doesn't work. If it's too hot, it kills it. So keep it in the middle range. Usually when it's lukewarm above 100 degrees, you're good. Anything that you can wash your hands with, 9 out of 10, your sanitizers can fit in there. I can tell you that I've walked into numerous stores that don't even have it unwrapped. They don't even know where that little box is with a little roll. And again, it's not malicious, it's just something that we have not created. We have to create.
I'm too busy listening to you do this.
So, the big thing is, make sure we are very conscious of having that sanitizer bucket. It has to be changed every 4 hours or as needed. If you start scrubbing counters with it and it gets really gross because you're cleaning up a ton of coffee, of course, change it. If it's within that 4 hours or it's gotten diluted or gotten too dirty. Yes.
Is it possible to just make the solution inside of a spray bottle instead of having that bucket?
Well, it is, however, you can, but you have to have a specific company that makes that. We just can't put it in a bottle because after a while, it'll just die off. That's why even your rebasting, every 4 hours or as needed, you need to dump it, because if you leave something in sanitizer, what happens to it if it sits too long? It gets real slimy. Let something sit all day in a sanitizer bucket, it gets real slimy, because that's just the sanitizer dying off. So, that's why I say every 4 hours, because again, you have to keep it, it's kind of sort of like a live bacteria that's it's killing everything that it touches. Now, how long do you keep sanitizer on a surface to actually kill the bacteria? Do you know? Yes.
10 seconds?
How?
10 seconds?
60 seconds. It has to touch a surface or an item for 60 seconds before it can be wiped off or anything, or it will not work. That is how sanitizer works in everything. That's why I say, keep the bucket around, even if you guys don't have, like, if you don't have 409 or Fabuloso, I always find that in the store, I'm like, get rid of it. Just have a bucket of sanitizer. You can literally wipe every single surface with it. Don't wipe your screens, your credit card machine, don't wipe your glass of your bar, because it will streak. It'll make everything look real foggy. So just keep it away from glass. But all your counters and stuff, it's the easiest chemicals that we carry. Just make sure it's got the right, like, dilution in it, and you'll be fine all day, as long as you change it. I always put like a label, which I'm getting you guys, I put a label on when I did it, it's say 4 a.m. and it's good till 8 a.m. And I put my name on it, so I know, hey, I'm responsible for that, so the next crew come in, hey guys, this goes out at 8 o'clock, make sure we remind somebody. You don't have to necessarily do that, just, that's a me thing, just so I can keep it, because I know if I'm in a store, I'm running around like a chicken with my head curled. It's just, that's the nature of the beast. Now, we don't have fruit and vegetables, but if you did, always make sure you wash them, especially when you come to the foodborne illness part, it's crucial, because yes, the industry washes them, but 9 out of 10, it's not fresh, clean, filtered water. It's really whatever comes off the truck, or whatever it is being processed through to get to the next thing. And guess what? They sit in cardboard boxes and crates in a dirty truck. So even if they wash them, they're traveling in amount of dirt all around them before they even get to you. So, yes.
Because of my grocery store, we have melons, once they're cut, they have to follow a food guideline. So my melons, when we cut them, like to make like melon trays,
That's true.
because it has to be at a certain temperature. Not the pineapple and not the grapes,
Yeah.
it's just the melons have to be at a certain.
Do you know why that is?
Yes, because the melons carry a food, can carry a food borne illness.
They're a little bit more prone to it. It's also the acidity level.
Acidity.
Acidity kills a lot of bacteria. That's why pineapple's not at standards. Now, what's the family mistake that we do with watermelon and melon and most fruits that we cut into? Especially watermelons. How often do we clean the outside of them? Hardly ever. That's the biggest mistake we make, is we cut into it and now we've made the outside becoming the inside. You don't wash the inside of a melon. You can't. You just can't make it watery. So keep that in mind when you're doing stuff like that. Now again, we don't serve fruit except for him. So again, even when you guys do it, temperature is always a good thing. But remember, you can always wash most outside. Now, like bananas and stuff, you don't have to really worry because you're not eating. God, I hope you don't eat the outside, but if you do, no judgment. But just keep that in mind. Anything that is somewhat, has a hard shell, clean it off. Because again, it sits and it in multiple areas of stores, trucks, everything. So, separation, or separate. So the big thing with chicken, can you tell me one big thing with chicken that, why we want it separated from everything else? Yes. The biggest thing is the temperature. It has to be cooked at 165 degrees at all times. There's no rare chicken, medium rare, it's always 165. Never changes. If you guys are moving a knife or moving chicken from one place to the next, that item that it may carry over may not have to be heated, like fried. They don't have to go to 165. They have to go to like, I think 145 at most. So if you're not careful and you're not paying attention, you're sloshing chicken everywhere, you could be touching something that doesn't even get cooked. As simple as a container that you're going to switch something in. the outside of it. You don't, this is like not ability to see most of this stuff. So that's why I say, be very careful with chicken. Even though it's our namesake, just be very careful with it because there's no room for error with that one. Use separate cutting boards if you're ever gonna cut, or sinks. Don't use the 3-bay sink to wash chicken. I know that some of you guys have no room other than that, and I get it, but try to contain it in a container as much as you can, because your 3-bay is specifically for dishes, wash, rinse, and sanitize. Now, that's company-wide, should always be that way. We have a chicken sink for specifically that reason, because we don't wanna, again, cross-contaminate everything else. Because how often do we wash, rinse, and sanitize all our sinks? Hardly ever. I can guarantee you the chicken sink itself has probably never seen a bucket of sanitizer poured into it.
How
Yeah.
often should they be cleaning it?
Every single time, before and after you use that sink is when you should be cleaning it. You should wash it, even the nozzles, even the spray nozzles, as much as that sounds. You rinse it, same way, and you sanitize it. Let it sit for 60 seconds, then you can use it. It should always be that way. Even if it's the only thing that ever gets put in there is chicken, just in the safe realm, wash it. Because there'll be a new person that doesn't think and put something else in there. Not intentionally, but it happens. So, keep that in mind. Cookies. Okay, so, you know the highest temperature for chicken is 165. That should be most of where everything sits in the fryer because we cook at 135. Always make sure that you cook to at least 165 on almost everything. We'll have boards and stuff up for temperatures, but 165 is a good margin to keep, especially since you carry chicken. What is the bar?
Can
What
you
is,
mute yourself? I'm sorry. Can you mute yourself, please? Sorry.
what is the bar, what temperature does the food in the bar have to be?
141 or higher.
So 135 is the aim. I always say 135 because it leaves that 5 degree of error, because the temperature danger zone is 41 to 135. So I always say start at 135, even if they say 140, start at 135. That way, it always gives you that 5 degrees of variance. Because again, there's always something that changes that 5 degrees. Okay, chilling. What is the temperature of a refrigerator? Where's the parameters? Huh?
41 or below.
So 41 is below is the cooling temperature of anything cold. What should a refrigerator sit temperature range? Does anyone tell me what freezing temperature is?
32.
Yes.
But it should sit between 32 and 41. It should be no warmer than 41
Right.
in a fridge.
So it should be 33 to 40 is where your coolers should always sit in those temperature ranges at all times. That keeps anything cold to stay cold. That's even your deli case coolers. They need to always be somewhat in that range to keep everything below 41. So, fun fact. Where should you put thermometers in your coolers?
You should hang right.
Right there, in the center.
Yes. So always put it by the closest at the bottom, the closest to the door. Why is that?
So you get an actual reading.
Yeah. You don't wanna know.
Open and close, right?
Huh?
Cause the door opens and closes
Yes.
throughout the day.
That's gonna tell you the real temperature of most foods in there because it's forcing the hot air in and out. So, can someone tell me how to properly wash hands?
Sing happy birthday and wash your hands for 30 seconds.
I don't care what song you use, as long as it's 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Now 30 if you wanna go extreme, you can. So, from the start to finish, can you tell me? What do I do first?
Oh, you mean, the whole thing?
Yeah.
Turn the water on.
So you always wet your hands, put soap on, lather for 20 seconds, and I mean going like hospital style. Up
Your
here,
elbow.
in your nails, and then you wanna rinse them. How do you turn off the faucet if you have handles?
You turn it off with a paper towel.
Exactly. You always get your napkin, dry your hands, then turn the faucet off. Because, yeah. Now, some people, like, I come from, we have the foot pedals on the floor,
Yeah.
so we never, or it's automatic. That's always nice. But if you're old school and you have the handles, always make sure you always touch the handles with your dirty hands. You don't ever wash them. usually no one ever washes the handles and they get forgotten and we always turn them off. Well, now we've contaminated our hands all over again. So be mindful of that. Now, in realistic world, is that what people do? No. I'm not. I know that, at least they're trying to wash their hands, so I'll give them that there. So. Where you at? Okay, food temperatures.
Your food temperatures, if it's supposed to be hot, it's 121 to 165. That's just the maintaining temperature.
Are you gonna move my slide? I need food temperatures.
Which is fired.
Da, 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 da. Okay, next. Okay, thermometers, who has them?
I got two.
Who uses them?
Everybody should have them. We gave out new thermometers to every store like
I
2.5,
ordered mine
3
off of
months,
Amazon.
not before Rich, so 3 months ago.
Yeah, so I have them in my car, cause I come to find that they walk off, they grow legs, and they just leave the store apparently, and I'm like, where's your thermometers? How often should you temp chicken? Every single time it comes out of the fryer?
You should tip it.
Every time it comes out, right?
Yes, anytime. What is the number one piece that you should temp first?
Breast.
Breast?
Nope.
The thigh?
Yep. Because it's the hardest muscle of the chicken, and it holds the most blood. So always temp it first, then your breast. Cause your wings and your legs are little, but it's always the thigh. Always put it in first when you go to fry it as well. Now, I'm a realistic person, we don't all think, oh, let me pick out all these thighs, because normally it's 13 minutes, huh?
You're supposed to break the thigh too. The bone.
You can. That's not like life or death, but yes, you can, that.
It makes it cook better.
Yeah, it is a flatter surface, correct.
And get
So-
out the liver in it.
Yeah, you don't, yeah. So, I was talking.
Get out the liver.
I like chicken anyways, so, it's very hard for me. So, you guys get the raw chicken in, and it's a kill date, as Keith likes to say. If you're plucking feathers by, like, all the time, let me know. I need to know what the chicken looks like and what box it came out of. Because Keith told me that it's supposed to go from literally box, bag, open it, put into flour.
Oh,
into
baby,
water.
you need to write an email then.
Yeah, and I know, and that's the thing is, I have been in conversation with him and say, hey, we do have problems, but I need evidence so I can take it to him.
Never open up a bag of chicken that does not have feathers, right?
That's
And
good.
every week have a
But I have
down
animals.
nail or something, like, no.
So ideally, we pay a premium price for that, so let me know, when you have like a lot of bad, if you start seeing consistently a problem with that, let me know. I mean, cause I can't fix it if I don't know it's broken.
We just need to create the track, the evidence, so a
Yeah.
picture of the actual
The label.
feather, or whatever the
Well, I
issue is,
didn't-
and a
I
picture of
didn't
the
know
label
it
on the
was
box.
supposed to be, you know, that clean, that's why we
I'm
clean it.
still stuck on there's what on the chicken?
Feathers. It's mainly on the wings.
Yeah.
It's mainly on the wings, nothing else really.
Like feathers, like,
Yeah.
a live chicken, feathers.
Well, you're not eating a fake chicken.
They're alive. They're alive before they're dead.
Before they go in that box, you know.
Yeah.
What's the number one item sold in our kitchen?
Macaroni.
Chicken.
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 Corn dog.
Yeah, but that's a close second, but chicken should always be your number one seller, at all times. Again, 165, I cannot stress that enough, 165. If it's not at 10, put it back down. I would rather make your customers wait an extra 2 minutes for their safety than them being like, oh my God, we're in a hurry, and just don't temp them and then they come back sick. Now, do you guys know how to handle if someone comes in and says they got food poisoning? What'd you say?
If they have food poisoning?
Say they said, I got food poisoning from your location.
You say me too, I was sick yesterday, just kidding.
Mine is just like me.
Yeah, but
You're not
I
allowed
would,
to answer
I
that.
would take their information and give it to you guys and tell them to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
'Cause
So
you
just
know,
Now
like-
you
for
gotta
you.
go to the hospital.
Yeah, so anything,
No.
just like an accident, you don't take fault.
No.
I'm sorry you're not feeling well, let's do a food and investigation, because that doesn't necessarily mean that it came from us, it could have came 2 days prior.
Yeah.
That's just how food poisoning works. That does not mean we're going to pass it off and sweep it underneath the rug, not our problem, but we automatically don't take fault. Just like we don't go, oh man, you tripped, I should move that rug 4 hours ago. Don't say that, don't say any of that. Just
Or I'm sorry.
be quiet. Yeah, I'm sorry you fell, let me help you up if I can. Just same way with the chicken. Any foodborne illness that comes at all anywhere near your business, never take fault of that, because automatically, you do, or automatically, it doesn't, we have no leeway after that.
They could've ate something.
And like I said, food poisoning, you could be 48 hours in,
Yeah.
and you don't know it.
So what's the first thing that you do?
Get their information,
Yeah.
give it to us.
Okay.
That's all you do. Do
Yeah.
not talk about it, just get it
Don't
off your
say,
plate.
yeah, it was my chicken, none of that. So I did make you a temperature chart. Hang it up, know it. I don't want y'all to know this verbatim, every single one. I'm a weirdo and I do know this, but chicken is the biggest one that you should know. And I will be coming around and I will tell you to hold on to this packet. I will come around with, double-sided tape, Velcro tape, magnet tape if I have to put it on a cooler door, because some of this stuff has to go in the cooler. Some of this stuff needs to go by your fryer because again, it's temperature related. Just so you know, everybody needs to know the temperature of chicken. Everybody. Always do a pop quiz. What's the temperature of chicken when it's done? Always ask that. If it's repetitive, it becomes nature. And then it'll be like nothing for them to, Josh can come in and say, hey guys, what's the temperature of cooked chicken? 165, good job, you know. That's what we should get used to because that's our business, that's our namesake. That could destroy the business in a second, especially our chicken. Next slide. What's the TDV?
Temperature danger zone
What is it?
between 21 and
135.
140. Yeah.
We're old school, James. They changed it a few years ago.
Well, I'm going out with
But
the
again,
last year, she said one.
Yeah.
135, I would go to 135 because your hot bars, I always like to go a little higher if I can, especially your deli cases as well. Your hot to go cases, I don't know, these things hate. They either love sandwiches and they're like blazing hot or they're freezing cold. There's like no middle ground in it. So always remember the temperature is a danger zone. It is what becomes a block party for germs. You invite one person and you invite that person, now these germs have multiplied into millions. That's how the temperature danger zone works. It always has. It is once you get to that point after 4 hours, throw the food away. It's not savable. Don't even question. Just like your cooler, you don't know how long, or like Marcy's, she didn't know how long it sat there, throw it away. Don't even make even a guess. Just throw it away. I would rather take the loss in that moment than us take a bigger loss like long down the road, or even shortly down the road. Because this is crucial. This is why taking a temperature, then we'll get there, is so important. Because we cannot have anything sit in that temperature danger zone, ever. So, but I made you a handy dandy chart, because I'm a chart person, and I will be putting this up. And this is one of these questions that I will ask everybody. This one and the chicken temperature has been failed by almost everybody except for one person in this entire company. And I'm not saying every store, I'm just saying one person was able to answer it correctly. So this is crucial. Crucial. And explain why it's crucial. Because again, it's a block party for germs in this temperature range. And there's no stopping it. And the longer it sits, the worse it gets. After 4 hours, what do?
Throw it out.
If we come into our cooler being down, what do? Say we have chicken in the cooler, and you close at midnight, and you walk in at 5. What do?
You gotta check the temperature.
Yep. Throw it away.
Throw it away.
You don't know. It could've went off, came back on, went back off, you just never know. Throw it away. Don't even take it, don't even go there. Now, the next slide, I do not want y'all to become paranoid people. Oh my God, this is an issue. Oh my God, I'm gonna suspect it was black lights. Don't do that. Because these live everywhere, all the time. It's just, we have gotten really good in the United States because we have a really good system for food where we have built a program on a lot of these and how to avoid them. Other countries have not. They don't have the technology, they don't have the knowing power to know any about this, but they have a hell of an immune system to a lot of this, where we don't. So when we go to another country, we get really sick, it's because our bodies are not immune to this. And also, So most of the time we take a vaccination when we're born for a lot of these, or later down the road. Okay, the norovirus. This virus is a stomach bug. When you're like, oh, I got a stomach bug, 9 out of 10, you got the norovirus. It is literally everywhere. A lot of these come from, feces. And not human, but I'm saying like animals, a lot of this, because a lot of this is based on stuff that you would wash. Your fruit, your chicken, but in your fruit,
Vegetables.
ready to eat food, any of that. Anything that needs to be washed, needs to be washed. But guess what, if we don't, and we're in a hurry, a lot of this stuff comes from a field, from other countries, or even our country. They don't have restrooms. It's not like they can walk into a nice little stall and use the restroom, wash their hand and pull out. They usually, they use the field as a restroom.
Why are you doing this to us?
Because I want,
You know.
so, I want you to know, not because, again, you're paranoid, because these germs are everywhere, you're literally ingesting them all the time. You build immunity to them, however, in large quantities, they can be very, very deadly. What?
No, it's not funny. Hairs in your nose to stop germs from going.
Okay, I have a navage for that, but okay. But this norovirus right here is the biggest one. Cause like I said, it is the stomach bug. 9 out of 10, if you've eaten somewhere and you get sick the next 2 days later, and you're like, man, I got a stomach bug, I don't feel good, and it's literally probably norovirus, 9 out of 10. Again, it is everywhere. Flies are notorious for a lot of these. Because, and not every fly, don't look at every fly and go, oh my God, I'm gonna judge you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, be mindful that if you have flies in your store, to keep your cases closed. To see if they're dead carcasses that are in your deli case, sweep them out. They're flies, they're weird, just get them out. Because they pick up a lot of things and they just automatically move it. And where they sit, manure, they like manure, they like feces, which is what they like. So, anything that is above 145 will kill the norovirus. So that's why I say, cook your stuff and make sure you're always tempting it. Because again, you don't know where your livestock been, you don't know how it's been handled or processed before it got to you. So make sure it always gets to at least 145, chicken 165, no ants, so keep that in mind. Hepatitis A, this is a liver disease. People that, really bad alcoholics have a lot of hepatitis A because it shuts down their liver. It is primarily in your gut, your liver, and it is always, usually just like the rest of them, in our bodily fluid. And a lot of it comes from animals. Again, knowing where you get a lot of your product is important too. How your purveyors handle it, how they take care of their livestock before it gets to you. We just can't go to Kroger's, or y'all even have Kroger's, never mind. We can't go to Publix and buy chicken because we don't know what they've done to get it there. We go to a certain buyer for a reason. Again, it's just good to have. That doesn't mean every single time. This is the big thing. If they use a restroom, they need to wash their hands. And I know people are like, oh, I did wash them in the restroom. Doesn't matter. I want to see you wash it when you open that door. Because 9 out of 10, yeah, you washed them, but then you walked back out and you touched that dirty handle. Now you pretty much contaminated your hands again. And again, it's just good. It's good perception of somebody to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wash my hands right in front of you, because that person could have watched you walked out of the bathroom. And you guys have a lot of outside bathrooms, so again, you're touching multiple handles. E. coli. This is the warm-blooded organism that, again, is in raw meat. This is why cooking hamburger above 160 kills this germ. That's why rare or medium rare, you have the potential of getting E. coli. It's just nature of it. I don't eat hamburger like that, but.
Well, I don't eat hamburger like that, I eat my steak like that.
Now, steak is different.
It's different.
Steak is different. Because once you take something to a ground form, you add more surfaces for a germ to attach to versus a big piece of meat.
Okay. Not that I was gonna stop eating.
Yeah, no, because I'd be sad. If I had to eat a tire all the time, I just wouldn't eat steak. Unpasteurized milk, another one, I don't drink it, but you know, if you do, you could always have the potential of getting E. coli. Salmonella, this is a big one for us, it's poultry. Eggs, other meats, fruits and vegetables, again, It comes from feces as well. Rodents are a big one for this one, because what do rodents do? They use the restroom everywhere. That's where this comes from. You know, peanut butter is one of those big things. Fun fact, anytime that you ingest peanut butter, 9 out of 10, you could be eating it. But it's just, again, your body builds immunity.
Eating what?
Some of them.
Something else.
You thought you did something else.
That's why they have like,
I'm starving myself.
but that's why they have recalls, because of this. Because the factory has not cooked it to a certain temperature. You know, the peanuts have been processed through contaminated water. There's multiple things. So just, it's not to scare you again, to be knowledgeable of it. Hey, make sure you wash your hands. Hey, make sure we're sweeping underneath refrigerators, coolers, anything table, anything that has a gap that a little creature can get into, guess what? They're gonna get into it. If you let them in, they're gonna stay in. If you guys leave,
Is it salmonella the most dangerous one?
Yes. Yes. And the big thing is, make sure we're sweeping, make sure we're cleaning the surfaces, because the more clean you have, the less rodents are to come in. They're not gonna wanna come into a good, clean, comfortable place, because there's nothing to get from you guys. So, keep your doors closed. Everybody wants to leave the back door open. Why? That's just an invitation, you might as well just put a welcome mat. Oh yeah, you don't. But, so keep that in mind. This is Salmonella typhi. Salmonella typhi is very similar to Salmonella, except for you have a fever with it. That's the only thing. And a lot of things have to kill this virus off, you have to be at 160 degrees to kill it. Anything has to be at 160 degrees. But again, the only difference is between these two, one has a fever. And so, Shigella. This is known to be around a lot of daycare, because what do kids do? Put their hands in their mouth all the time. Put their hands in their mouth, smear all over the table. That's why you get a lot of that in schools and preschools, because that's just what happens. Again, this is also one that you get a lot from picnics, because we have potato salad, chicken salad, we have it all sitting out, not covered. This is another one that you pick it up at. So be mindful that I'm a weirdo, I always cover all my food, even when I walk away, because again, I don't trust anything that's in the air at all. But if you're not old school people, my mom, she don't pay attention to that. I'm paranoid, I'm like, oh no, there's flies there, we gotta cover it. No, you can, I'm not. So, just keep in mind with that. But that's all the fun facts about common foodborne illnesses. There are very, very many of them, but these are the most common. Well, see, this is that part, I know all these. But again, it's not to scare you, it's to make you aware of it, that it does exist. So you have to take the necessary precautions to avoid it as much as possible, because again, you deal with a large group of people. In your house, you're only dealing with 2 or 3 of them. A lot of people that have a lot of elders, children, and people with medical conditions, this affects them a lot. This hits them faster than like the normal, average, well-conditioned human. So keep that in mind. And again, like I said, your stores, you have way more people go through the doors than my own house. If I just make Rich and I think it's just Rich and I. It's not Rich and I and the whole darn store, and then God only knows who else. So just keep these in mind. A lot of it is washing your hands. Sanitizer is a secondary stage. It is just an extra layer. It is not a be-all, end-all. People that think, oh, I sanitize my hands. Great. You still should wash them, because sanitizer is only going to kill them a certain amount. So keep that in mind. Next slide. So, I did put, sorry, for your foodborne illnesses, this is, need send sick employees home now. This is why. If they have any of these symptoms, send them home. Don't even ask questions, send them home. Okay, chicken HACCP. Why is it good to have a chicken HACCP plan, or a HACCP plan at all?
Because they're critical points.
Yes.
They're from one step, from one process to the next.
Right. So it's gonna tell you how to receive fresh chicken. What the hazard is. The big thing with this is, we don't take temperatures of chicken that come in. We just accept it and roll it in the cooler. We should always take the temperature of chicken before it gets to us, or as it's coming to us, because it could have sat in a truck that's not, properly refrigerated. Now we put it in temper danger zone and we don't have any idea. And we accept it and say, you're not temping it when it's cooked, and now we've added another layer of foodborne illness. If you come in, or if your truck comes in, automatically temp every single box. It should be below 40, 41 degrees. If it's not, send it back, don't even accept it. Because, again, you could always be sitting in the temper danger zone. If you store in the cooler, where should you store chicken? What shelf?
The bottom,
Yes, why?
because you put it at the top.
Because, yeah, it's gonna grill and contaminate
Do
everything.
you know how many
else
pools I
under.
walk in and chicken's at the top and pickles at the bottom? Do we cook pickles?
No.
Exactly.
Who does that?
Everybody, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people.
Chicken
Again,
always on the bottom, even if you have other poultry.
Yeah.
Chicken is always at the
always,
bottom.
because it
It
has
has
the
the
highest
most-
point of temperature to be cooked. We don't cook pickles. And people aren't gonna pay attention that the juice on the lid, they're just in a hurry, so they're gonna splash it everywhere. So keep that in mind, remember it, 165, hottest temperature has to be cooked, bottom shelf everywhere, I don't even care if it's in the cooler. Don't ever put buckets or boxes straight on the floor, always put them up, they always have to be at least 6 inches, it should be 6 inches up and 6 inches off the wall, but we don't have that much space. So as long as it's 6 inches off the floor, we're good. Because again, rodents are there, not that they can't
Even
climb.
the pickle bucket, cause that's
Yes.
the only thing that's on. the
Yes.
floor.
Everything. Because if you stack it, now you've taken contaminant on the floor, and put it on top of the lid. And now you're touching the lid and opening it, and all that contaminant that's on the floor is now on your hand. So
Everything else is up,
is what?
everything else is up, like
Yeah,
the shelf, the
so,
only thing that I don't.
and that's always the hardest one, because we usually don't have a crate available. But I always say, have your milk crate or your milk guy leave you a crate, or ask a Pepsi guy if you can borrow a crate. I don't even know how I don't even know how it works here, but always get it above floor. Hell, if you even want me to just buy a stool for you, for your pickles, I'll do that. So, keep that in mind. Cooler's always at the bottom. Breading and water. So, how often should we change the water in the breading station?
Like every 4
Exactly.
hours.
Always. And it's not because, 4 hours is even worse, but the 4-hour point is you've added the most bacteria that it can grow.
But we
Now-
can do it more than that.
Yes,
Right?
if
Because
you
it
are
gets
Depends on how many
very-
times like you drop,
Yeah,
your
that's
chicken.
the one.
Right,
Yeah.
just like your fryers, you have to filter them at a certain point, you have to break down your breader station at a certain point. How many people use trash bags, inside their breader station?
Well, they see a thing, yeah.
Why don't you wanna do that? Or why shouldn't you do that?
You say why?
Why
You
shouldn't
shouldn't,
we?
because it's the same thing as the, cross contamination, and like you said, you take the bacteria from outside the bag, put it inside, but you see at 210, because we're in a little corner, that's all we really got.
So the biggest thing is trash bags are not food grade.
Right.
You don't eat out of a trash bag.
Right.
So you really shouldn't layer them in your breader station. I get why you do for easy cleanup, but I would rather look into getting a cover bag for that is food grade. So we don't have that guessing game of, where's that trash bag been, So keep that in mind. Cooking in internal temperature, breading at the end of the night, what do we do with it?
Throw it out.
What?
Start it, throw it out.
Yeah, always. That's why at the end of it, at the night, tell them don't put a whole bag in the breader station, that doesn't do any good. Just use what you gotta use and then throw it out. Because you don't want it to sit there or dump it back in, cause now you've contaminated the whole bag of breader. Don't ever mix old breader back into new breader bag, just don't do it. You can add it on that, but honestly, you should just throw it out. I know you guys
Who
sit
does
there.
that?
Huh?
Who does that?
Who does what?
Put the old stuff with the new.
And you're amazed. I'm amazed at the things I see, and that's why, because I know all these and I know them quite well, all the foodborne illnesses, I am the weirdo that goes to a restaurant and I look meticulously on how long food sits on something. I don't eat salad most of the time, because again, most people don't wash lettuce.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I
I'm
just
just saying, I did it today, so if I die, we all die. But I'm just saying, usually I don't. If it's a restaurant I've never been to, I normally don't, cause I've not studied it, I don't know it. I also look at their food inspection exams that are usually on the door, and give them a grade, because that matters. What is so cooking temperature is 165. If you're ever cooling something, what is the duration that you have to cool it? So you have 4 hours. You have 2 hours to get it to 70 degrees, and then the last 2 hours you have to get it below 40. That is how you do it. If you have a large amount of chicken, which I don't really think you should have, you should never just put it in a bucket and leave the lid off of it. Because that center is never gonna get as cold in that 4-hour duration as the top or the sides. So if you have a large amount of chicken, again, I don't know why you would, put it on a sheet tray, cover with a piece of parchment paper, put in the cooler.
It all has to be even, right?
Even,
Yeah.
yes, even surfaces. So all the cooler temperature is evenly across everything. Don't ever put it into a large bucket, just like soup. You don't wanna put soup in a big pot and just shove it in there, because it's never gonna get, the center is never gonna be as cold as the outside in 4 hours. Just not gonna happen. Reheating something. What is the temperature to reheat anything?
165.
Yes, always, always. You have 2 hours to get it to that temperature. Soup is the biggest one, we don't do it, but just keep that in mind. So this is a good thing to have, just in case of an emergency happens. We've done the proper steps. This is the way that we should cook it, store it, clean it, cool it, reheat it. This is the steps that we should take. That way, God forbid something happens, we can automatically say, hey, state of Florida, we followed our steps. We have a HACCP in place. Not like, oh, we don't know. We just wing it. We can't wing it. I know it happens, because, we've been winging it for a long time. But it's good to have something in place to keep us out of hot water. Just FYI. All right. Okay. Safe refrigerated storage. Okay, so as you can tell, poultry is always at the bottom. Because it has the highest cooking temperature. Right. So your raw meat, we really don't have this. This is a big one for us in the coolers. I know we fight for space all the time, but we have to make sure that we are doing our due diligence to get the already made food up off the bottoms, because we are horrible at this. And it's not just one store, it is literally everywhere, because again, we are fighting cooler space. It is what it is, but again, we have to make sure we're doing this. This is something that I wanna put in your cooler, so everybody can see it, because it shows pictures. You can't even, usually if you can't read, it shows pictures. I love pictures. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. I can literally walk into a store and say, hey, your cheese needs to be on the top. Why is it on the bottom? Why is it sitting on the top of the chicken box lid? I don't know, I just put it there. Don't put it there. Do yourself the extra 20 seconds and put it where it needs to go. Just don't shove stuff back in the cooler, just hope and pray we don't make someone sick. Okay, this is a big one. This is one that I look at a lot. This and chicken temperatures are my thing. Also, make sure we're cleaning our shelves, taking stuff out, spraying it down with sanitized water. I do it at least once a month, if not more, especially if you have, you have the bench in your cooler. Make sure we're taking, a bucket of really nice, good hot soapy water and cleaning our coolers once a week, because what happens is we track it on our feet, and people are weird and people are gross and they'll start messing with their shoes. I had another person literally take his shoes off, go back in the kitchen, and I was like, hold on, wash your hands. He didn't think anything of it. But I was like, you don't know what you just picked up off your shoes, especially if you walk through the cooler, because how many times have we mopped the cooler? Probably not very often, because we try not to break a lot of things in there. At least we try not to, so.
You got all that chicken blood and stuff.
Yeah,
in there.
and you have the butcher shop, which makes it even worse. So, all right, so last but not least, and I will give you these, is I made up temperature control charts. These are things that I will have you guys do, and I'm not saying you gotta start them this week. I wanna start them after you guys count, that way you have time to focus on it. It is stuff that we should do because again, temperatures are not our friends all the time. Most of the time, don't even like us. So, and because like Marcy had, she had a cooler hood. If someone would have checked that before they walked out, they probably could have caught it. Maybe not, but it's just, it could have happened.
And there's a clipboard too?
Yeah, I know, it's snazzy.
Gosh, you better
No.
step your game up, dude.
I'm just gonna, I'm gonna put
I was like, go to Dollar Store. Oh, no, that's not yours. And I'll go over it a little
I
bit.
did go to the Dollar Tree, but that was full out yesterday.
I did, I spent $11.
I could have a whole meeting for $8 before.
Again, I will order you guys books, I just haven't got that far. Cause some of you guys have books for cooler doors, some of you just need a nail to hang it on the wall. You guys are fighting space. Did I get everybody? I think, I have an extra one.
You should have two,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, never mind.
and 209.
See, always messes up my thing. That's how I messed up labeling your damn.
You also have one for 209.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So, this is very easy, to the point, easy squeezy. I try to make temperatures as easy as possible, wham bam, get it over with. It is every 2 hours, this should be done. Now, this is what I don't like hearing. That's Dilly's problem. That's the story problem. No, it's our problem. We ride together, we die together. That's how it is in the store. We all need to be conscious of food safety. It is not the manager's problem. It is not the CSR's problem. It is not the cooler stocker's problem. It's everybody's problem. Food safety should be everybody's concern. Because at the end of the day, we all can be affected by it. So, easy, every 2 hours, if you go down, it'll actually tell you the temperature range that you should be looking for. Again, you can use a regular thermometer. Now, your coolers and freezers, of course, you need a hanging thermometer. If you need those, please let me know. Send me a text, hey Vanessa, I need a hanging thermometer and 3 coolers. No problem, I got you.
So for the cooler, the ones that, okay, cause I know my cooler has the thermometer outside,
The
can I
digital?
use that one?
So, with the digital, sometimes they go out, or sometimes they get locked in a temperature and they don't move. It is always good to have a secondary thermometer, because 2 is always better than 1. Especially in the thermometer room, even with your oven, you should always have an oven thermometer inside, because the outside one is not always correct. So keep that in mind. So if you need them, like, there's a couple people that have like 2 coolers, standalones, and then they keep them in the walk-in cooler. Again, let me know if you need thermometers at any point, anywhere. Even in your deli case, hot case, you always want a backup thermometer, because you never want to rely on just one. Because they get funny, or they quit working, or they become uncalibrated and they don't work at all. Or they'll tell you the wrong reading. And then the health department will come in and nail you for it, and be like, it says 36 degrees. Well, no,
But
it's
it's
at
really
42, you know,
Yeah.
that happens. Our machinery dies, it gets older, it gets clogged with dust, it's gonna throw the temperature off. It's just, you know. Freezers should always be 10 to 10. It's got a little room to wiggle. Now, you may take a temperature and it's at 25 degrees. What are you gonna do? Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna give yourself an hour and come back and check it again. It could be at a defrost. So of course, it's gonna throw a crazy reading because it's defrosting. That's the whole idea of it. But make sure someone comes back. I always put it on my phone. I've always put it on my phone, or I have a blocky yellow timer. It's annoying. It annoys everybody in my stores. And I set myself a timer, or a reminder for an hour, come back, check the cooler temperature, because it was off. We should all do that. Because again, sometimes it just throws a faulty reading, because it's in defrost, or it might just have a moment. Or, hey, it's actually going out, and hey, I caught it in a length of time, because you've got 4 hours. I don't advise 4 hours, but you have 4 hours. And if you only take up an hour, you might be able to get Judy to have a refrigeration guy in there in the next hour, to actually get it up and running, and we don't waste a bunch of food and a bunch of product, and make it a safety issue at that point. Hot case, that is always 135 and above. And I always say do left and right, because that's where your temperatures always differ. Make sure people are not leaving the doors open, because that'll affect your temperature, it'll make you drop, especially if you have the health department come in and, you know, they're just like, hey, leaving Free Willy, the door's all open. Close them. We don't leave our refrigerator door open at home just to cool our whole house. There's a reason. We wanna keep the cold air in. Same way with the hot. Keep it closed. We don't open our oven doors and say, we're just gonna heat the whole damn house today. Now, we keep them closed when we're done.
Back in the day, we used to do that.
That's not bad. Well, we're not back in the day.
Warm up the house.
We're 2020. Well, I don't, that's a long time ago. Cold case. Cold case is a big one because it is your open, it's that open deli case, and it has a lot, especially you guys by the door. Remember, it's going to have to fight the outside temperature, so keep an eye on it. That doesn't mean that, you know, you call Judy every 5 minutes that it's out of range, but let her know. If it's out of range, put a ticket in. Even if it's something, hey, we just need the vent blown off because it has a lot of dust, because the vent's on the bottom of the floor, and what comes in when you open the door? Dust, dirt, grime,
Yeah.
all that gets sucked in. When we sweep, people are notorious, I'm gonna sweep it in here, nobody will see it. It goes in the vents. That's what happens. That's why if your refrigerator at your house goes out, check your vents, because 9 out of 10, it just can't breathe. So, it is crucial. This will keep us out of hot water and keep your machines running. It'll actually give you a great tool to use for your people to pay attention, to be mindful of this, and also be part of a team. I don't care if you make one person each shift do this. Everybody should know how to do this. Everybody. I mean, they literally could read numbers and be able to fill in blocks. It's real easy. Food safety is everybody's problem. We need to make it a company issue to say, hey, everybody, pay attention, because this can get us in a lot of trouble. So even this little board here can keep you out of a lot of hot water. It's easy.
Are you gonna email us this?
Yes.
So we can keep it going?
I will email it and I will put it into the share folder, so you guys can get hold of it. If I add something, I will send you an email and say, hey, we added a new piece of equipment, or hey, we took away something, you know, whatever it may be. So, like I said, whose responsibility is it for food safety?
Everybody.
Yay, everybody, okay, go to the next slide.
Whoa, no.
Ooh, dare me, I put it on there. Okay, any questions, comments, concerns, issues?
How many days do we have to keep records for?
So ideally, you should keep 30 days. And you can make a folder. I have a binder that's being made right now. You can put it in there. Hole punch it. I'll get you a 3-hole punch. You can put it in the binder in 30 days. Keep a record of 30 days.
So
That
we
way,
don't have to scan it in to you and all
No.
that stuff.
I just wanna make sure that if the health department comes in and they say, oh, this cooler's messed up, hold on. You've not taken temperature, you're not doing your due diligence, blah, blah. Yes, I have. This is my record. This gives us a leg up on them and say, hey, we've not had any problems. Not saying that right now you're not true, but we are doing our due diligence on our equipment. You always want records, because if you ever have a lawsuit, this will save you behind. You always want as much record as possible. So, any other questions?
We must also keep our waste and the waste log as well with this.
So the waste log I'm trying to redo, right now, our waste log is really hard. And two, we don't really have a sound system just yet. Hopefully with PDI, it will help us narrow down the waste, because we don't really scan it.
Yeah, basically all we do with our waste sheets is we're doing the waste sheets to show that we're writing something
Yeah,
down.
we still
When
need
you
to do it.
send- Yeah, when you send the waste sheets to us, there's nowhere to put them in. With
Right.
PDI, you should have a screen that says waste, and you put in 3 pounds of chicken,
Yeah.
2 pounds of macaroni and cheese, or half a pan or something, so that it actually pulls it out of your inventory. The way we do it now, it just shows that we're writing waste down. It doesn't take it out of the inventory. But yes, you wanna keep your waste sheets to show, at the same time, we're not keeping everything, and we're actually throwing stuff away.
Because I have the little strip, the test strips. On that waste sheet, it has the test strip section where we test.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're talking about the sanitizer,
Okay,
Yeah.
that's okay, and with waste, do me a favor, if you're going to waste more than 2 cases of chicken, I don't care if you text me, email me, I need to know why. One, it could be simply, hey, I overordered, hey, they sent me the wrong thing, or hey, I didn't do proper rotations. FIFO, first in, first out, make sure we're doing that. Chicken is vital. I will get into it with 14-day stickers, and I had a nice little chart being made. They made an error in the verbiage, so I had to change it. But it is on its way. It's a vinyl sticker, you can literally stick it on anything you want. Don't stick it on anything, but stick it on the cooler door. We will be dating chicken for 14 days past the pack date. I will show and teach everybody, but it's real easy, I swear, it's easy. We have got to get out of this, oh, it smells okay. Chicken smells horrible anyways, it's dead carcasses. So we can't just open the box and be like, oh, it smells good. We have to make sure we're dating things, because again, we can't cook bad products, we shouldn't. It just makes more errors, so. Your turn.